once we get that right, which is for me the most important thing, that they have, first of all, respect. The second one is commitment. The third one, passion. Those three ingredients are non-negotiable.
Hello and welcome into the Non-Negotiables podcast. I'm Gavin. I'm here tonight with Justin. How you doing, Juz?
Good, Gav. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Not too bad. A little bit of a fender bender on the way back from the airport after my trip to Jamaica, but overall can't complain. Bit sore this morning, and that's not just because of the rum punches. There were plenty of those, and I think I might have actually drank 700 Red Stripes in the last week. But yeah, but I can't complain. Can't complain. So let's start by wrapping up last week because we didn't get a chance to do that because of my boozy session in Jamaica. So the weekend we played last again, which I really hate doing. I really hate it when we're last because you have to react to everything else that's gone on. And I said to you last week that I wasn't expecting Liverpool or Man City to have many problems with their games. You were a little bit more hopeful on City dropping points, right?
Who'd they have again?
United. It was a Manchester derby.
Oh yeah. Of course. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say hopeful or even optimistic. Just kind of, form goes out the window a lot of times for those derbies. You never know what's going to happen. So I was just kind of with that mindset, but I didn't. I mean, this United team is. I mean, they're rough, man.
Yeah, they're really bad.
So Liverpool,
Yeah, well, I was going to say we'll come on to that one because Liverpool went first, and it actually turned out they were the closest to dropping points. I was actually in the air while that game was going on, and the Wi-Fi wasn't really good enough to stream it, so I was kind of following along by refreshing the BBC Score app and checking score and looking at it. And I didn't have much hope at the start, but once you start getting 70 minutes, 0-0, 80 minutes, 0-0, 89 minutes, 0-0, 90 minutes, 0-0, I'm sitting there and I'm clock watching, but on an app refreshing. And I know the app's like, 90 seconds, 2 minutes behind, whatever it is. And every time my phone vibrates, I'm panicking now at this point. And it was about 95 minutes into that game. I'm sitting there and a message comes through from Paz and it just starts, fuck. And I was like, oh, fucking hell, they've scored. Yeah. And when I opened it, it wasn't. It was about something else. And I said to him, Paz, don't do that to me with 4 minutes left. Don't do it to me. It was, you know what it was? It was the third Spurs goal had gone in. And I was like, I don't even care about that game. I'm not even interested in that game. Don't do that to me. And then I got a text message from someone else that started a similar way. And I was like, look, I'm turning my phone off now because you all are going to kill me because I'm waiting for this result. And just as I said that, pop through, bang, 1-0.
Yeah, I only caught highlights of that one as well. I didn't see the game, but I was very hopeful. I was just like you. I had a match tracker up, and I think the last time I checked it, it was like 90+6 maybe. And I was like, well, looks like that's it, so that's nice. Title rival, dropping 2 points in a game they really should win. And then, of course, I checked like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later. I was like, what the hell? Saw the 1-0. But, I mean, it's good. At least it pushed them to the limit, I try to look for any of those kind of, winning areas. I mean, it looked like it was a pretty tough game on them, honestly, surprisingly.
Yeah, and we know what this having to fight all the way and grabbing last-minute winners does to you, right? Like in the end, last season, it completely did for us. And we've said that it felt like at this point last season, we weren't in control. We were scrapping, I think Sunday was the anniversary of the Reece Nelson goal against Bournemouth.
Yep.
And games like that, as good as they make you feel at the time, you just know you can't keep doing that. And I feel that's where Liverpool are at the minute.
Yeah, those kind of results, regardless, I mean, I'd say if you asked, 100 Arsenal fans what was kind of your moment of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if 75 of them said that Reece Nelson goal. But it takes a lot out of you as a team. You know what I mean? I mean, it
does, because the other 25 would probably say Eddie's goal against Man United, right?
Yeah, I mean,
the last minute winner there. I mean, and when you keep doing that, I just don't think you can. I think, and we'll get onto this later when we preview next weekend. But I think right now, us and Manchester City are actually in a different class to Liverpool. And I know it sounds weird because Liverpool are top of the league, but we're controlling games and City control games. I feel like games control Liverpool. Like they're constantly reacting and they give up a lot more chances than us. I think if you look at the XG conceded, I think we're only at 18. I think Man City are in the low 20s and Liverpool are in the 30s for XG conceded. I feel like they're like where we were last season at this point, where they're really just trying to keep their heads above water. And I just don't think that can carry on.
Yeah, I would say that the only thing that I kind of, I'm keeping an eye on with Liverpool is that I know they're really beat up right now, and I know none of their injuries seem to be very long term. I know we touched on this a little bit last week on the episode, but I do worry about them, getting back healthy and starting to be a bit of a force. I mean, they've not really had like a first choice midfield almost all season, or trying to play McAllister and I still don't really know how to say this. Szoboszlai? Szoboszlai, thank you. Kind of playing them out of position at times, and so we'll see. I'm with you. I don't think they're controlling in games, and I think us and City are kind of more in an advantageous position despite Liverpool being top. But I'm with you. As of right now, if everything stays the same, I just don't see how it's sustainable for them.
But they did get the goal, and it was a gutting moment. Really, it really did was deflating when I'm getting off the plane, and I had a face like a slapped ass, and I'm wandering into Jamaica about to go to holiday paradise, and I'm fucking miserable. But I got over it. What can I say? But yeah, it really was a gut punch, that. And then we go on to Sunday, and it's Manchester City, and of course United go one up inside. What was Rashford's goal? Like 4 minutes in.
8? Was it 8
minutes? Was it? I know it was really early, and what a goal as well. By the way, that was
it was
some strike. I mean, I guess he's still capable of that. I know he wanders around half the time not looking interested, but he's still capable of that. Rashford. It was an absolutely fantastic strike. But I don't know. Did you ever feel like there was any chance at all that United were going to get anything there? Because I mean, that game, it was one of the most one-sided games that I've ever seen. I think I've
got some stats here. If you want to,
go on. It was Man City. Was it 25 shots to 2?
27 shots to 3.
27 to 3.
8 shots on target to 1. 73% possession for City. 27 to United. I mean, corners 15, United 2. I mean, they absolutely dominated.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't even a game. The scoreline flattered Manchester United massively.
Yeah.
That game, that's a 6-0 game. 100%. That's a 6-0 game. So I never at any point, even when Rashford scored that, as much as I celebrated it when it went in, and again I was 15 red stripes in, so I was happy. But I never ever felt that they were going to be able to hold out and get anything from that.
I'm sure a lot of people said the same thing, but despite the beauty of the goal that Rashford scored, my first thought was it's too early.
Too early, yeah.
Yep. If that would have happened, I don't know, maybe like right before half, maybe I could see him holding on. But 8 minutes in, I was like, oh man, they just pissed him off.
I mean, and City had already been dominating the game at that point. Do you know what I mean? It's not like United scored and then sat back. Like they scored out of the blue. Can we talk about Haaland's miss? How did he miss that? I think I heard someone say that it registered 0.83 on XG, which is like one of the highest chances I've ever seen. I have no idea how he managed to get that over the bar from there.
Yeah, I mean, pretty crazy miss. But I mean, I guess, somebody that gets themselves into, scoring positions as well as he does, I'm sure he's going to have, all kinds of crazy goals and crazy misses,
Yeah, I mean, he does miss chances where you think, oh my God, how did he miss that? But of course, he also scores more goals than anybody else, so you can't argue with it. The chances do come along. But I did think that was an extraordinary miss.
It really was. Yep.
But that was really the point, because that wasn't long before half time, was it? And that was the point where I started to think, maybe, could they have another one of these games? Maybe.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to be, and City end up with 3 points, and it wasn't a surprise. Like you said, I know you were kind of hoping more than expectation, right? That something might break our way then, but it didn't. And so once again, we are then going last, having to win, not to gain any ground, but just to stay in it. So we went to Sheffield United, and it's a ground that we haven't been great on in the past. And there's a few of these where we haven't been great on in the past, and we have to go set the record straight. But this is also a team that I think is possibly the worst in Premier League history.
Oh, that Derby team, remember?
Yeah, but I think this Sheffield United team is probably as bad as that team.
They've quit. They're done.
I think they have quit, and I believe, I can't remember, what did Derby go down with? Was it 12 points or 14 points? I can't remember what it was they went down with. But Sheffield United are on 11, and it really wouldn't surprise me if they didn't win another game from now until the end of the season. I'm not saying they're going to lose them all, but it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't win any of the next. It wouldn't surprise me if they ended up going down with like 14 points. And
I agree.
And there was some interesting little records set in this game. We become the first side in top flight history to win 4 consecutive away games by 5 goals or more. And Sheffield United,
which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and Sheffield United become the first team in league history to lose at home 3 games on the spin by 5 or more.
Yeah, it's rough for him. This is kind of a weird game. I don't feel like we get to say this very often at all, especially in the Prem. But I really had no doubt. There was no doubt in my mind we weren't going to pick up 3 points here, which I know is that's risky. But they're bad. They're listless. They've given up. I'm glad we were able to kind of pad the goal differential a little bit, play good, score some nice goals. But yeah, there was no doubt in my mind that, that this was going to be a win for us. Real quick, Derby County 07-08, they had 11 points at the end.
11, they went down on 11. Yep. Okay, all right. I knew it was right around it, which is what Sheffield United have got right now. But and they did get some hammerings, Derby, but I don't think they were as bad as this Sheffield United team. In fact, I think the goals against for the Sheffield United team at this point are actually the worst in Premier League history. I believe Swindon was the one before that was the worst in Premier League history for goals conceded. And that's this Sheffield United team are just woeful.
And wasn't it just the season before last where they were like hanging around 6th and had a really good?
No, it was the season because they went down, didn't they, and then came back up last season.
Oh,
so
you're right.
I think it was the season before that where did they finish above us? I think they might have finished above us. It was the year we finished 8th, and they may actually have finished above us. But then the next season they fell apart and went down.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've come up, and them and Burnley, I mean, they've just not put up any sort of fight whatsoever. None. I mean, at least Luton, who are the team that I think everybody thought was going to be cut adrift at the bottom, at least they've made some sort of fist of it. I mean, I still think they're going to go down, but at least they're not going down just submitting the way that Burnley and Sheffield United have. Yeah,
agreed. And I think it's really shocking on like the Burnley standpoint. I didn't really have any expectations for them, but I remember in the this past summer, listening to some of the athletic football podcasts and stuff like that, and everybody saying how Vincent Kompany is going to be really in demand, and what he's done with this Burnley team is incredible, and like they could actually be a threat, not like title contenders, but they'll be a a tough newly promoted side, and they're just not at all. And when stuff like this happens, I think it makes Arteta again just look all the more impressive. You're seeing all these other managers, Lampard, Gerrard, company, who are just struggling significantly. You look back at even Arteta's first 2 seasons. I mean, it doesn't look that bad in hindsight.
Yeah, it's one of them things with the bottom this year where I think that we say this every week, but I honestly just think the bottom of the Premier League this year is by far the worst I've ever seen. Because it's Sheffield United and Burnley are obviously cut adrift. They're on 11 points. They're nowhere near safety. They're basically already down. But even above that, when you start looking at that group of Luton, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, I know Everton are in there, but that's because of the point deduction. But specifically Luton, Nottingham Forest, Brentford and Bournemouth. They are sides that in a normal year would be the ones who were cut off adrift at the bottom. And it's just that the bottom 2 are so bad this year that, a couple of them teams are going to survive and they really shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I can't really I can't argue with that. You're absolutely right. Really fortunate for the likes of like Forest and Luton especially. And Everton too. I mean, props to them, man. I know they could be facing an additional points deduction, but I kind of thought they were going to be dead and buried with the first one, and they're hanging in there. They're doing all right. So
yeah, I think without the point deduction, they'd be right around where they'd be sitting right around where Newcastle are. I believe. Yeah. I think they would be maybe 3 points behind Newcastle or something without the point deduction. I mean, I didn't think. I said on the pre-season prediction pod that Everton would be my surprise because I thought they would do better than everyone thought they would. I wasn't counting on a points deduction at that point because we didn't know that was coming. But yeah, I don't think Everton are in any real danger. I mean, you wouldn't say. I don't personally. I wouldn't put them in that list with Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United, Brentford, Bournemouth, and Forest. To me, that's the 6 that are just abysmal. And you have to say during this run of ours, we've also played some poor teams. We've played some very poor teams in this run, so you can't get carried away with it. But we're putting them away like a really big club should do. We're basically doing what Manchester City usually do, right? But we're doing it to an even greater extreme.
Yeah, I have no problem with the opponents we faced like in this calendar year so far because we are, we're putting 5 and 6 past all of them.
Yeah,
it's not like we're squeaking by on like a questionable penalty or something like that. You know what I mean? I mean we're putting them to the sword every single week. And I mean
we have slammed Newcastle 4-1 in that.
That's true.
And we smashed West Ham 6-0. And you can say what you want about West Ham, but I think they're 8th at the minute, and they're in the round of 16 in the Europa League. West Ham are not Burnley.
Yeah, they're not a bad side.
It's not. It's not that they're absolutely terrible, and we gave them a good shoe-in. And let's be fair, we beat Liverpool 3-1, and Liverpool couldn't have complained if that game had been 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the eye test right now is really impressive, and I think even if you'd have thrown a United, a Chelsea, a Newcastle again or something like that, I still think we'd have put 4 past them probably in this run.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way we're playing at the minute. So the game itself, we got off to a flyer, obviously, with Ødegaard wandering into the box, completely unmarked and scoring. And Sheffield United just seemed to like fall apart immediately. I mean, we could have scored before that even.
Yeah.
And they just seemed to fall apart. But what did you make of the decision by Sheffield United to say to Austin Trusty, who we don't know that well because we never really saw him play for us, but to say, go on then, son, you have Bukayo Saka 1-on-1?
Yeah, I and this has nothing against Trusty at all. But yeah, this was just a crazy decision. I mean, we see every single team we play against, basically try to neutralize the wings by doubling up, especially Saka. And for them to take this kid who's got very little Premier League experience, still young,
Was Trusty walking around in
man.
training in the week going, you know what, fellas, when I was there, I pocketed Saka in training every week. Is that what happened here? As Trusty just said to him, you got nothing to worry about here, lads, I got this.
It's the only believable situation for me, honestly. Like, I mean,
they've gone to him and they've said, you used to play there. Give us some insights. And he said, well, you all worry about everyone else. I got Bukayo.
It's crazy. Yeah, it was really crazy.
And they knew it too, because like, what was it, 15 minutes when they made a tactical sub, and you feel bad for the guy coming off, but what it really tells you is we're just getting dicked, and we've got to try and do something different, And I understand you're at home, so maybe you don't want to just go and stick 11 men behind the ball and just try and hold out, but you got to at least put up a fight, and they just didn't do that. And when the guy came on and they changed the shape, that didn't even make a blind bit of difference, really. I mean, the only reason that we stopped at 6 is because we decided to stop at 6.
Yeah. I mean, to be in full damage control mode, 15, 16 minutes into the game, I mean, says a lot about the performance. And this is another game too where I don't want to get ahead of you or anything, but this is another game too where we've got 5 different goal scorers, not counting the own goal. We talked about that last time too. We're spreading the goals around. It's not like, we've got like a Holland that's carrying us and scoring 40 goals in a season. I mean, goals are coming from everywhere, from the back line, the midfield. Havertz is on a tear right now. I mean, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up your boy Kai, actually, because we had a conversation. You've never been a big Kai guy, and I liked him a bit more than you guys did, and I just thought people weren't really accepting him for what he was. They wanted him to be something different. Where do you stand on him now? Because I think that the goal that he scored in this game is one that he doesn't score in November. And it's not because he can't, it's because he wasn't feeling it. I've said a countless amount of times what he is David Platt. And this performance to me is exactly what I mean by it. His runs are so clever. He works so hard. And that take and finish across the goalkeeper, if we can see that from him on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis, that kind of performance, where do you stand on him now?
So it was a nice goal, nice finish. I am significantly more pro Havertz at the 9 than I am at the 8. Just to be clear, I think he's a good player, a very nice addition to the side when he plays as a forward. I understand what he still brings, at the 8 when he plays it, but I still don't love him there. I think it's fine. It's been working all right, but I still don't love him there. But I do like him as a 9 quite a bit.
And it's interesting, the metamorphosis of the team when he starts up front or when he starts in midfield, right? Like, it's two distinctly. We've got several different styles that you'll see throughout the game, but the difference between Kai at centre forward and Kai in midfield, or even Kai not being on the pitch, is huge. Like, it's a massive, massive difference. And I'm not saying he should start over Jesus. Don't hear what I'm not saying. That's not what I'm saying. But the team looks so different with him up front and without him up front.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say too, not to derail your point, but I think Jorginho stepping into that left 8 role too. And you know me. I mean, I wasn't happy about that signing. I didn't want him, but man, he's really impressed me. And I know he's not going to be like a nailed on starter, week in, week out. I just don't think he can do it. But he's been really impressive in the way he plays. And I think even pushing him a little more forward and keeping Rice at the 6, he's even impressing me with his, attacking contributions. And I do think that has quite a bit to do with it as well. But yeah, you're right. It's a totally different setup when Havertz is in attack versus Jesus.
And that's a good way to lead into looking at this weekend's game, I think, because Jorginho is going to be one of the big question marks here. Do you think that Jorginho plays on Saturday, knowing that we've got Porto on Tuesday? And if he does that mean he's sitting out Tuesday night?
I don't think he starts both games. Like, just straight up, I don't think he'll start both games. But also, if we're talking about Party being the one that comes in for him, man, I think out of all the players because we had quite a few players coming back from injury that saw time against Sheffield.
Partey stunk the place out. Let's just say it. He was abysmal. But Partey, when he comes back from injury, is usually pretty bad when he starts to come back. And to me, this is more of a reason to start him on Saturday, and that's where I think this is going to go. I think Partey will start instead of Jorginho. I'm with you, but I think that's more of how bad he was on Monday night. I think is a reason to start him, not to start him, because I think when he gets them minutes into his legs, I think he's going to be better for it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say at this point, the more minutes he can get, the faster he can cycle through his, this pattern of being pretty shit coming back from injury.
Well, and then the sooner he can get back to what he likes, which is being injured again.
Right. But I mean, it's nice though, Gav, because we do have options. Yes. We can pull Havertz back, and
Vieira can go in there. Smith Rowe can go in there.
Smith Rowe, yep. So I mean, we've got plenty of options. I'd like to see Jorginho though against Porto.
I think we will. I think that's where I would go. Like, I'll tell you where I'm at with it for the weekend, and then you can tell me where you're at. Obviously, we know Ramsdale's coming in goal because Raya can't play. I think the back line will stay the same. I think that will be untouched. I think you're going to see Partey come in for Jorginho. I think there's a good chance that you're going to see Trossard come in for Martinelli, who's obviously got that cut on his foot. And I mean, if he's in the slightest bit uncomfortable, I don't think he's going to play. And I think you might see Jesus come in for Havertz up top. The only other way I see this working is if Havertz goes back into midfield and Partey starts on the bench. But to me, I think this game is a great chance to start Partey and start working him way back in.
I wouldn't be upset about it at all. I could see that, but I don't think, just personally, I don't think Havertz is going to get dropped. I think the only way Partey starts is if Havertz keeps his place at 9, if that makes sense. I think if they start Jesus, Havertz will come back to midfield.
Do you think that, because I think Havertz is going to start up front against Porto, and I don't want to preview Porto because we'll do that after the Brentford game. But I think Havertz is going to start up top that game, and that's why I think Jesus and Partey are in the same situation here where we need to get minutes. And let's be fair, this game on Saturday should not be any more difficult than the away games at Burnley and Sheffield United. Brentford are in that class of team. I fully expect I think we could make 8 changes and still win this game. I don't think we're going to make 8 changes, but I do think this is a really good chance for Jesus to start, for Partey to start, and for Trossard. And again, I wouldn't start Trossard. I would start Smith Rowe wide left. I wouldn't play Trossard out there, but I think he will start out there, and I just think it's a really good chance to get these players some minutes.
I don't have the match like the season in front of me. Are we home or away?
We're at home. Oh
yeah, I mean, I agree. Then I think that does allow you to take just a little bit more risk as well. I like where you're coming from with Jesus and Partey. Just go ahead and throw them in there, because now it's really just about getting minutes in their legs, So I mean, I'm all for it, but I do think we should pick this team with Porto in mind heavily. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the game.
As bad as Brentford are, they've also got injury problems, which is going to make them worse. I believe their entire backline that was already terrible is out. I know they've had a bit of a fitness boost with Mbuemo, but he's probably not going to start. I wouldn't imagine he'll start on the bench. So this is a poor team, and with a big game on Tuesday night, I do expect a few changes. You know me, I'm not a rotation guy, but I think when you get someone like Jorginho that probably isn't capable of playing 2 games, and you remember it's a Saturday night game before Tuesday. It's not even like it's the Saturday morning game.
Yeah.
So I think when you're that close together, it does make sense to rest Jorginho. I think there is a chance Martinelli starts. But if there is any sort of knock, then I would definitely err on the side of keeping him out. And again, Partey and Jesus, like we said, it's just about getting minutes into their legs.
Yep. Yeah.
Now,
I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, and we for once get to go first. And it really don't matter because it's Man City Liverpool on Sunday, or Liverpool Man City, I should say. And that game was going to have as much riding on it whether we went first or second. So the one time we do get to go first, it's not like they're going to be feeling the pressure because they're already embroiled in their own little battle. First off, what do you want to happen here, Juz? What's your order 1, 2, 3 of results? I think for me, the best result is a draw. I think a Liverpool win is okay, and I think a Man City win is a disaster.
I agree 100%. Yeah, I prefer the draw. If not, Liverpool, City. Yeah, worst case scenario, City.
Yeah, I mean, after Saturday, there's going to be 10 games left. I do not think that us and Liverpool can win the last 10 games. I'll say that outright. I do not see either of us winning 10 straight. I do think Manchester City are capable of winning 10 straight.
Yes.
And I'm not saying we can't win 10 straight. I'm saying we can't win 18 straight because that was what it would be, because we'll have already won 7. We've already won 7. If we beat Brentford, that will be 8 in a row. I do not think we can win 18 straight to end the season. I don't think it's realistic. So for me, the reason I want to see Liverpool win is because I would rather the draw, but I would rather see Liverpool win than City, because I just believe that out of the last 10 games, Liverpool are going to drop points a couple of times. Man City, after we play them, it wouldn't surprise me if they just won the last 9.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better, honestly. And Liverpool is one of, if not the toughest game they have left. Us and Liverpool.
Yeah, and this one's at Anfield. I mean, they get us at theirs,
Yep.
so this is the hardest game left. I think this is one of the last chances really to see Man City drop points.
Yep, agreed. So yeah, I'm definitely pulling for Liverpool over City, but yeah, I mean a draw makes the most sense for us, I think. Still,
and what do you think is gonna happen in that one?
I could see a draw.
Can you?
I could, yeah. I don't know.
I think it'll be a City win. Like, I really do. I don't see this Liverpool team being able to deal with this City team. I think the only way Liverpool could score, but I think the only way Liverpool can win this game is for a couple of Man City players, Haaland especially, to have a bad day at the office.
I mean, it's possible. I know we're getting a little close on time, but I do find it funny. I can't remember if you and I have spoken about this before, but really close to the end of the season, Tottenham, they play City, Arsenal, and Liverpool all right in a row. And
yeah, after they played Newcastle, by the way, who obviously are no great shakes this year, but it's still a reasonably big game. So yeah. Well, this was one of the things I was going to say before with when Pascal texts me fuck about Spurs getting a third. I'm like, well, no, we want that, because the only, like, out of them 3 games, right, there's only one game that they are naturally going to be up for, and that's us. So I think when them 3 games come around, we want them clawing for every point that they can possibly get, because otherwise I don't think they're going to go into City and Liverpool with the same venom as they play us.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right about that. I mean, I know them and City have got a little bit of recent history with Spurs getting the better of them for the most part. But yeah, I agree. They're obviously going to be the most up for the North London derby there. So hopefully, I just kind of find the situation they're going to be in kind of ironic. They're almost the harbinger of doom there for one of us.
I know. Well, United had the same thing as well, but they've already caved at City, so they've just got us and Liverpool to go. So, okay, mate. All right. Well, thank you for that tonight. We'll be back after the Brentford game, and we'll review that, and then we'll look forward to Porto. So, mate, I will speak to you later. Enjoy the game tomorrow, and I will speak to you soon.